Deshaun Watson went 3 for 3, Jay, but some of the backup quarterbacks on the Browns roster, the other guys outside of Watson, looked pretty damn good too, including the rookie Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who once again showed out in front of a packed crowd.
It doesn't take Cleveland long to get quarterback mania, and I think it's safe to say they already have quarterback mania over DTR.
Yeah.
Which happened very quickly.
Yes.
Now, if you're just judging on what he did in the game, I can understand why you'd be excited about that. But you have to temper that enthusiasm with who he was doing it against. He was 9 of 10, quarterback rating of 142. I mean, isn't that perfect? Or right next to it?
No, 158's perfect.
Okay, 158, 102 passing yards and a touchdown. I love everything I've seen about this kid, but I don't know that I'm ready to say I feel comfortable going into the season with him as number 2 over Josh Dobbs, who has experience in big games. Are you guys?
I'll preface this by saying you guys are correct, because think about it. Last year, DTR was Josh Dobbs.
Absolutely.
Josh Dobbs was the guy
Cleveland
last year.
fell in love with him. Hey, maybe we should play Josh Dobbs over Jacoby Brissette.
Jumping over the pile, doing his thing. He played so well that the Tennessee Titans picked him up, played him in a game last year.
Meaningful game.
Meaningful. They needed that game to get into the playoffs. I like what DTR is doing so far. If you're going to start, I think you should look at it this way. I'm going to give Josh Dobbs an opportunity to start the game against Philadelphia because he's not going to play, Deshaun Watson. I'm going to give each of them opportunity.
Providing some pop.
You get one of them in the first half, the one of them in the second half, but I'm definitely going to have a competition for that game because to me, I think he's earned it. I think when you watch that play right there,
downhill throw,
he's ready. He gets to his back foot, he reads the progression, and boom, ball away. Right? If he's going to run the ball, he's going to take off and do what he needs to do immediately. He's not scrambling around in the backfield. He's looked crisp every time I've seen him out there, and he deserves to be in that conversation to be like, hey, I'm the backup quarterback. Now, trust me, it's kind of scary having a backup quarterback be a rookie. That's kind of, usually that only happens when you take a rookie.
Hell, look how many times we've had our starting quarterback be a
rookie. Now, let me make this clear. First of all, it doesn't really matter who the backup is in any kind of long. If Deshaun Watson has any kind of season-ending injury, the season's over.
Yeah.
So that doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. The Browns will not go to the playoffs with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. They won't go to the playoffs with Josh Dobbs, and they won't go to the playoffs with Kellen Mond. I'll say the same thing about the Bengals. I'll say the same thing about the Chiefs.
Last year.
That's the exception, not the rule.
It is definitely
and the 49ers didn't. And first of all, Brock Purdy played great. So, yeah, okay, it's possible that some of these guys can play great.
Look, coming out of college, Brock Purdy was not nearly as accomplished as Dorian Thompson.
But
5 years as a starter, guys. Remember that. 5 years as a starter.
But in this AFC?
No, I agree.
The Browns could go 10-7 this year and still not make the playoffs. This AFC is.
I think there'll be a 10-7 miss in the AFC.
Right, exactly.
I hope it's not us.
Without Deshaun Watson, the chances of them winning 10 games are almost nothing.
You're right.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson, it's like the same thing that happened with Amani Bates here, like to some degree. What, in the little tiny bit, he's thrown 20 preseason passes, 21 preseason passes. I think he's 18 of 21 in the 2 games, okay? In those 21 passes and the 9 or 8 runs that he's had, he has looked excellent.
Yeah.
Nothing negative to say about him. But here's the thing. None of these statistics matter.
No.
Quarterback rating. When what makes you a great quarterback is that you're able to sustain this type of play for a game, for a season, right? If he throws 10 passes, well, that's great, and the numbers are great, 9 for 10. Right. But if he had to play the whole game, okay, then you got to deal with the ups and downs of a whole game.
Sample size is too small.
It's too small, and he's doing it against guys who are not NFL players.
Well, let me be devil's advocate there, because that is a good argument. Most of these guys. But Josh Dobbs is playing against the same Jimmys and Joes.
Agreed, and Josh Dobbs didn't play particularly well.
No.
But ultimately, what you're not going to decide your backup quarterback, in my opinion, based on their statistics in the preseason.
Yeah.
You're going to decide it based on an entire body of work, both coming into this season and what you've seen in training camp, what you see in the classroom. We only see a small tidbit of what they're analyzing as a team.
Right.
Josh Dobbs was here last year. He's been in the league, hasn't played a ton, but he's been in the league a long time.
Right.
I don't think there's any chance Dorian Thompson-Robinson is the backup this year.
I agree.
What we've seen, love it. Do I want him on the roster as the third quarterback? 100%.
Right.
Is there potential that he could be the next Brock Purdy or another guy? Of course, there's always that possibility. and he's certainly worthy of keeping around 100%.
Yeah.
But in terms of the backup, if Deshaun Watson goes down for a series, I want to go with the guy who's played in the league.
Yeah, let me remove any doubt for anybody.
Yeah.
This is what the roster looks like for the Browns at quarterback, and I'm about as sure as this as I am on any take I've given on this show. Deshaun Watson is your starter. That's clearly established. There's no question about that. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, although he's looked great, is not your number 2. That's going to be Josh Dobbs.
That's right.
He has experience in that position. The Browns obviously liked him enough that they brought him back.
That's right.
He played meaningful games last year for the Titans, and by the way, played well. It wasn't his fault they lost.
Yeah.
It was not his fault. He did enough by himself to win the game.
I think
but the team didn't step up.
It was
to
prime
the
time.
occasion.
It was a prime time.
It was a prime time game. I remember watching every bit of it. And I thought I was so happy for Josh Dobbs. But make no mistake about it, Kellen Mond will not be on this roster.
No.
Those are your 3 quarterbacks.
Yep.
And the only way DTR will see the field at all this year is if there is a significant injury. That's
if
it.
he plays this year, it's probably a disaster for the Browns.
It's not a good thing if he plays this year for the
Yeah.
Browns. Now, I love what they have in this kid. They're absolutely excited about him. They're 100% keeping him. And I do think that he has a future in the NFL as a quarterback. He just looks the part. He's not intimidated by anything. He's got good leadership skills. And by the way, do we have the video? Can we tag board the video of end of game Jacoby Brissette and all of the Browns coming to him as if he was the Pope? Do we have that? Because this is what I wanted to use that. As I'm looking at that video, here's what instantly came to mind. Jacoby Brissette is not a big vocal guy. He's not. And we always ask this question. Can you be a leader if you're not a rah-rah Ray Lewis? Can you do it? And we've always asked that question, I think, in conjunction with the question of Myles Garrett.
Sure.
Can he be a leader? Jacoby Brissette, you want to see what a leader looks like?
Yeah.
Watch how his old teammates were breaking their backs to get to him after the game to talk to him.
Yeah.
He is beloved by his teammates. When he was with this, that's just the video, or I mean the still picture.
Yeah.
There's video of him dabbing up everybody on the team, and it was like they were seeing their old best friend from college.
Right.
That's what a leader looks like. And he doesn't have to be vocal. Look at the guys absolutely coming to him like he's some sort of magnet. Njoku having a nice laugh with him. Everybody, even Deshaun Watson. This guy was beloved by his teammates.
That's great, and I love it at all. Why any fan or media member would be obsessed with Jacoby Brissett, I have no idea. He was here for one season.
I can tell you why the media was obsessed with him, because he's such a likable guy.
I hear you.
They deal, remember, and we don't do this. I did once upon a time.
Yeah.
It's not fun. When you go into a locker room every day, you realize that these guys are paid professionals. They're football players, first and foremost. They don't have to be kind during interactions.
No,
Nothing in their contract says
no,
they
you
have
always
to be.
love that when the players are nice.
When they're nice, it's
Yeah.
like they make your job 60% easier. Because
100%.
it's just, it's going to be a human interaction where mutual respect is involved.
Yeah.
But when you go into the locker room after a game and you have to interview a Warren Sapp who's got a spit towel down between his feet and puts a big chunk of dip in and is spitting during the entire interview right next to your microphone.
Yeah.
And he knows what he's doing when he's doing that.
Yeah, he's just being a douche.
That's tough.
Yeah.
That's you need hazard pay for that kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
So the media is infatuated with Jacoby because he treated everyone with the utmost respect. He's just a good human being.
He is, no doubt.
And that's why they're obsessed
Right.
with him.
And he
I
played-
think the
he
fans
played well.
I think the fans, for the most part, we were in a really tough spot. And I think it wasn't his fault that they had a losing record when he was the quarterback. It was not his fault. I think the defense
It
had
wasn't
more to
his
do with that
fault.
than
If
anything.
you had a better
Offense
quarterback, you might-
overachieved last year.
Right, but I'm saying if you had a better quarterback, you might as well. Anyway, I just always think it's kind of a loser mentality, waxing poetic over a quarterback who was here 1 year and didn't win.
Well, I think that just goes to show you the impact that he had on people outside of the field.
Yeah.
Right.
For the players, I get it.
Yeah.
That's a different
Well,
story.
they
Yeah.
revere him as much as the
Right.
media
Yeah.
and the fans.
And that's a tough job to know you coming into a place where you weren't supposed to be the quarterback. You had a specific role in mind, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden the 11 games comes. Now you got to switch your mentality. Now you got to become a leader. He became a leader. He won games that he probably shouldn't have won.
He played well
and
last
then
year.
It was almost
He did play well.
He played really well. Like he had an 88.9 QBR quarterback rating, and like Jay said, there was games where he played well enough to win games that he should have won.
Wasn't his fault they lost to the Jets.
So
No.
People look at him, and like you said, it's always something about a guy that's continued to grind and getting the opportunity. And even though he played well like that, he's in Washington now, trying to find a position, still fighting for a starting role again.
Right.
And so they respect that.
Yeah, Sam Howell's going to be the
And I
starter
think,
there.
is he going to be the starter?
Yeah, they said that.
Oh, that's a mistake.
Come on.
That'll be till week 3.
Yeah.
We'll see Jacoby plenty
I
this
don't know.
year.
Jacoby's not a starter, though. I just don't think
He's not a
it-
frontier starter,
Yeah.
but if you have a team that has a really, really good defense and can keep you in games, and
a
that's
nice
what the Browns
running
lacked
game.
last year. Look, he scored points. Their offense moved the football.
Yeah.
He overachieved with this Browns offense
He's better
last
than Howell.
year.
He's better than Howell.
I think he is too.
It doesn't matter when you have guys like that. You're always looking to get the next best
Yes,
guy.
he's
You
not
can't
a
win with
long-term
those
solution,
guys. Yeah,
but he can be a bridge until you draft a guy or
yeah,
until
we'll see what they do.
work out for a guy.
I don't know. All these bad teams are going to be looking to get a quarterback
But
in the draft. next year.
can anybody even remotely disagree with me when I say that the quarterback tree is already decided? Like, I don't think there's anything up for grabs.
I agree. Do you think Dorian Thompson-Robinson can end up as the
They're not
backup?
going to keep Mond over Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
No, certainly
not
not.
a chance.
No, the only way it happens, like you say, for instance, in some far-off land, if they said we're going to play DTR and we're not playing Dobbs, and the Eagles play their starters, and he come out there and light them up till like the third quarter.
Yeah, I get that. That maybe.
that might change my
Then
mind.
you'd be like, okay, we got to talk
I
about
just
something
think-
because he just lit them up.
Yeah.
I think.
But they're not gonna do
the
that,
odds
and
of
that won't happen.
happening is very
Yeah,
slim.
because the Eagles probably won't play their guys.
Yeah.
And it's something to be said. For now, can I see him taking over that position? Yeah, because I think that he may be better than Dobbs, just on what I've saw. But they're not going to run that risk because here's the thing. I know that the little computer scientist, rocket scientist Dobbs can memorize all the plays. Like he can memorize any playbooks. You're going to be able to run all your stuff.
Right.
You're still going to be able to run some of the stuff with the read option in his legs.
8 of 16, though, with a bad pick.
It was a horrible pick.
A really bad pick.
It was a bad one.
I'm just not worried about it. I just keep Deshaun
And I know
Watson on
that,
the field.
and
yeah.
you're the pragmatic. You're like, never going to happen, never going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't need to remind everybody where Tom Brady was drafted. I'm not for a second
Sure.
saying that DTR is going to be the next Tom Brady. But when Tom Brady was at this stage of his career in New England, 2 weeks in, if anybody would have said, he's going to take Bledsoe's job.
Right.
Everybody that said that would have been run out of town on a rail.
Right, but if
And DTR had a much, much more
I
celebrated
hear
college
you.
career than Tom Brady did.
But in the end, the percentage of quarterbacks drafted 5th round or later that have succeeded in the NFL
You're
is very
100%
slim.
right.
I'm not saying it's impossible.
Right.
I totally
It's
agree
a
that I
long
like what
shot.
I've seen.
Yeah.
But I don't want to rely on it. Well, I don't want the Browns to have to figure that out now.
Yeah, I don't either.
We don't want that to
If
happen.
they stumble upon it,
Beautiful.
then, and you
Beautiful.
got another Bledsoe situation
Yeah.
where all of a sudden you're saying, wow, they were paying Bledsoe over $100 million. They were committed to him. And then back then, I think he might have been the highest paid quarterback when Brady supplanted him.
I think he was.
And everybody thought there's no way that Brady's going to
Right.
win this job long term.
that was it.
And he did, just because he played, when he had the opportunity, he played really, really well.
Kellen Mond could just be cut. I mean,
Yeah, well,
I mean,
there's
you may
another
just-
guy that could be cut, too, that I think everybody could agree on, Anthony Schwartz. Like, I don't know what we're doing.
Before we